Ask yourself, what one thing could you do that would completely revolutionize your industry, that would set you so far ahead of the pack that you would make your competition irrelevant? Wonderful phrase, make your competition irrelevant. A great book, Good to Great by Jim Collins, talks about that. How do you make your competition irrelevant? Your competition can match you on price, they can match you on quality, they can match you on speed. Question is, if you set the bar high enough, will they ever catch you in terms of customer care? Hello and welcome to the Coffee with Colm, and thank you for joining me. I was talking to a colleague during the week, a colleague in Carambola, and he was telling me about the fact that some competition has recently turned the heat up in some of our schools in a particular area of the country. And he was speaking to the school principal, who really is the decision maker in most cases, about what that might mean for Carambola. And thankfully it means very little, because the school principal, knowing what he knows about the competition, one of them he poo-pooed straight away. The other, he simply suggested that, look, if I were to take the labels off your product and take the labels off Carambola's product, it's effectively the same thing. So long as Carambola keeps doing a great job for me, why would I consider changing? And it struck me that that's the key. When push comes to shove, that's the key. When push comes to shove, customer service, excellent customer service, can in fact make all the difference in the world. And it reminded me of when I started my career a long time ago now. I fell out of school in 1980 and wanted to be a school teacher at the time, believe it or not, a primary school teacher, primarily because the long holidays and the short hours, I'll be honest. But back then, at least, it's probably the same still today, you needed an honour in the Leaving Cert in Irish to gain access to Teacher Training College, and I didn't put in the work. And I didn't get the honour in Irish, and therefore I didn't get a place in Teacher Training College, which in fact was fortuitous, because then I fell into the restaurant business by complete accident. I met a gentleman called Mr. Halpin in Cleary's rooftop restaurant on a Wednesday sometime in 1980, and he said, I have a cashier leaving at the weekend, you can start on Monday if you wish. And I said, thank you very much, I will. And I did. And what happened then was I happened to enjoy people, and obviously the restaurant, the hospitality industry is a people business. So because I enjoyed it, I was good at it, and because I got good at it, I got on in it. So it was the start of a very long, very worthwhile career for me in hospitality in general. But one of the things that I learned back then in those very early days of my career that has stood the test of time for me, for sure, is customer service, is that exceptional customer service can in fact save the day. So back then in the 1980s in Dublin wasn't exactly a food haven back in the day, and self-service catering was pretty much the norm. So the question really became, how do you set yourself apart in a crowded arena? And Mr. Stephen Halpin and his business partner Barney Nealon found a way. They were ex-Gresham. And they decided to team up and take on this restaurant in Cleary's department store. So you know the score. You pick up a tray, you work your way around a servery, you choose the various items of food that you want, put them on your tray, bring them to the cash desk, pay for them, and then go find yourself a table. That's the norm. What we did back in the 1980s was that we simply met you at the cash desk and carried your tray from there to the table. And the difference was phenomenal. It meant that people with shopping bags didn't have to worry about balancing a tray of food as well as their shopping. It meant people with briefcases didn't have to balance their food. It meant people with buggies didn't have to balance their food. We did that for them. And it was such a simple idea, and such a novel idea back in 1980 that our business just thrived, just flew, because anytime you were coming into town to do something, well, then you knew where to go, because you knew where you get looked after. We carried the customer's tray, and it allowed everybody know that once they came to our restaurant, they knew they'd get a table. Nothing worse than turning up at a cash desk with a tray full of food and bags or briefcases or a buggy perhaps, and then having to struggle to see where might you find a table. We took all that worry away from people, and as a result, the people came back in their droves, and that they told their friends where to go. Transformational. And it stayed with me since. It stayed with me that when all things are equal, when everything in the marketplace is generally speaking the same, and if you look at our school lunch business, a ham sandwich is a ham sandwich is a ham sandwich, let's be honest. So how do you set yourself apart in a very crowded marketplace, particularly a crowded marketplace like our school lunch business, which is effectively a fixed price marketplace as well? How do you set yourself apart? And the answer is excellent customer care. excellent customer care, exceptional customer care. And that's what Carambola prides itself in. And that's why most of our customers will stay with us, because of our excellent customer care. Because anybody out there can make a ham sandwich. And anybody's ham sandwich, if you, as the school principal said, if I take the label off yours and theirs, effectively it's the same product. So what's going to set them apart? Customer service. And he's committed to us that so long as our customer service, through that particular customer service individual, it has to be said, very important, if our customer service remains the same, and if we don't mess up in any significant way, we've got nothing to worry about. So how are you and I going to compete into the future? You see, anybody can go out there and take on what you do, and perhaps replicate what you do, and perhaps even do it better, faster, cheaper, perhaps. Okay? And then what's going to happen? You might respond by doing it better somehow, or faster somehow, or cheaper somehow. But all that really is a race to the bottom, because your competition can actually mimic everything that you do. What they can't mimic is what you are. They can never mimic what you are. And the competition in our particular marketplace and school meals can never mimic what Carambola is and what we stand for. The question I want to pose for you this week is, what does carry the customer's tray mean in your industry? What one thing, because it's probably only one thing, what one thing could you do that's different to your competition? It has to go beyond product. It has to go beyond price. It has to go beyond speed of service. What's it going to be? I recommend that the way you can compete, that your competition can't mimic, is customer care, exceptional customer care. Carry the customer's tray and ask yourself, what one thing from a customer service perspective could you do that would completely revolutionize your industry, that would set you so far ahead of the pack that you would make your competition irrelevant? Wonderful phrase, make your competition irrelevant. A great book, Good to Great by Jim Collins, talks about that. How do you make your competition irrelevant? Your competition can match you on price, they can match you on quality, they can match you on speed. Question is, if you set the bar high enough, will they ever catch you in terms of customer care? I don't think so. And thank you for joining me for this week's Coffee with Colm. Hope and trust as ever that you got something from it. Most importantly, please consider what's been shared and apply it into your thinking for the next week. And then equally as importantly, please come back next week and we share another coffee together and I'll ruminate on some other aspect of life and business. In the meantime, get some good coffee if you can, get some fresh air if you can. If you spend a lot of time alone during the week, well then I recommend you go meet some people. If you spend a lot of time with people during the week, I recommend you take a little bit of time alone. Good for you. And then when the time is right, and only when the time is right, get your head back in the game, get organised for the week ahead, get stuck in, make next week count, and I'll see you here this time next week. Sláinte. I love great coffee. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.